The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates.
It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media.
Well, it should.
The Rick Jensen Show on 101.7 FM, 1150 AM, WDEL, and streaming to your smart speaker and mobile device.
I've been a happy camper of Dan White for many, many years. As a matter of fact, when Dan and I first met many, many years ago, we had quite the conversation about what he does, how he does it, how he helps people with retirement income. And I think it kind of surprised him that back 1991 through 1995, I was actually in that business and fully licensed and all that kind of stuff. Not nearly as accomplished as Dan, but Dan, you've been doing this for quite a while, and you ought to be accomplished at this. So we're glad to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me, Rick. It has been quite a while. Yeah, 1987 is when I started. So
yeah, and you started out. What were you doing before that? Were you working like in accounting or no? What were you doing before that?
Yeah, I worked for I spent 3 years with a large insurance company prior to going out on my own. But yeah, I worked for Cigna.
That's it. Yeah. You really learned the insides of that stuff there. So.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yep. So folks know that I have the utmost respect for you and what you do. And I'm glad you're here as somebody who is a financial planner specializing in retirement income. But it's not just retirement income. As a matter of fact, you know, a lot of parents wonder, okay, I have some extra money. I can use that for my kids' college money, and we need to do something. Young parents nowadays, I think they get the message. And they need to do something. There's so many different things they can do, the 529 plans and everything like that. But more and more people are using Roth IRAs. And I'm wondering, because you sent me an email saying we were going to talk about this. But my question is, I'm going to get ahead of you on this. What about using, like say, your own Roth IRA for a kid's college expenses?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So the example I'm going to use here is, let's say somebody had they created a Roth IRA when their two children were young to pay for their college education. The daughter is finishing the second year of college. The son will be entering college this fall. They have withdrawn $30,000 so far from their contributions to pay the expenses. Current value of the Roth IRA is $150,000. Contributions, what they've put in, totals around $70,000. So he was told he can only withdraw the contributions without tax or penalty and cannot touch the earnings generated unless he pays income tax. He wanted to know if that was true, or can they use the entire value for college. He's 55 and she's 54. So the answer is, Roth IRAs follow very strict distribution ordering rules. Contributions always come out first, then your converted amount of Roth dollars, which in this case there wasn't any, followed by earnings. Contributions are always available tax and penalty free. So he's got $70,000 in contributions. Regardless of how old he is or how long the Roth has been open, he can have access to the $70,000 free and clear. The earnings are a little different story. For Roth IRA earnings to be tax-free, the Roth IRA has to be open for 5 years, which it has been, but the Roth IRA owner has to be at least age 59 and a half, disabled, purchasing their first home, or deceased. And unfortunately, paying for college or higher education is not a reason for taking tax-free distributions of Roth IRA earnings. So in this case, if they exhausted their contributions and started taking withdrawals of the earnings, they can avoid the 10% early under age 59 and a half penalty by leveraging the higher education penalty exception, but the earnings would be taxable because they're not age 59 and a half.
All right, so
it's still a viable, if you put in, let's say, if you sock away $100,000 from the time your kids are born in Roth IRAs, you have access to the $100,000.
Yeah.
It's just the earnings are not available until you hit 59 and a half.
All right. So depending on where the kid's going to college, where it's like $20,000 a year or $50,000 a year, you could pay for 4 years or 2.
Right.
Depending on how much you're going to be.
Right.
Yeah, that really kind of makes sense because one way or another you want to help the kids pay for college, unless you want them just to get saddled up with loans and say bye-bye.
Well, the difference is when you save in the kid's name. Like when we were young, coming into business, it was always Uniform Gift to Minors Act accounts, UGMAs. And the problem with them was then if the child was applying for financial aid, that UGMA account was in their name and under their social, and that reduced the aid that the child was going to be available to. So then they started looking at 529 plans, and they're very popular as well. The rub against them is it's got to be used for the child's education. Now they've changed a little bit, and some of it can be converted to a Roth. The Secure Act changed that a little bit. But if you really had qualms about whether your kid was even going to go to college, then you would save in your own Roth IRA. It's your money. You can pull money out if he does go to college. If he doesn't go to college, it's your money and it's your retirement.
So what's the actual advantage? I mean, for people who are looking at this, you got the 529s and the Roths, and saying, maybe I'll just save money and pay taxes on it. What really is best? And keeping in mind the fact that the kid might not go to college at all?
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, you might do some combination. You might do maybe some in a 529 plan, maybe some in a. It's like some people, if you make too much money, you can't contribute to a Roth.
Yeah.
So a Roth might be out of the question. But I think if you can do it, I think if you attack it from multiple fronts, that way you're covering your bases no matter what happens with the child.
Yeah. Well, what happens? I mean, I don't even know. You have 529 plan. It's for the kid's college, and the kid says, "I'm not even going to trade school." And I'm thinking,
there's a new provision in the Secure Act where you can take some of the 529 money and convert it to a Roth.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But there's strict rules with that too. But that's for another show.
But well, make a note because maybe we'll talk about that next week, right after the news at 1:30 on Wednesday. But you could use this money for, it doesn't have to be a traditional four-year college, right? It could be.
No, a lot of times you can use it for, like people go to Archmere, they go to Salesianum, and that's just like going to college, you know? I mean, it's, you got to pay pretty high tuition there. You can use 529s for that. It can be used for school supplies, books, computers, that type of thing. So they are a little bit liberal as to what you're spending the money on.
What about certifications? Like, obviously go to Del Tech and you go into Allied Health, you can use it for that. That's obvious. But what about, say, somebody who says, you know what, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to go and I'm going to get my real estate license and take some courses. You could use it for that too, or not?
I think you can. I think they're pretty liberal as far as, hey, I'm using this to further my career, higher education. I think it's a pretty broad category.
I have a couple of friends who never went to college. They kind of bounced around one job and other things like that. They each got into real estate, became real estate agents. Oh, my God. Yeah. They are very, very successful. Yeah, they're killing it. They're smart people. They just didn't really – they really didn't hit the –
college.
Well, yeah, but they didn't hit the books, and – it's typical of some people that I know, never really hit the books in high school, but then when they realized, I want to do this for a living, next thing you know, they surprise themselves at how good they are at math. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah,
it's like,
college isn't for everybody,
That's true. That's true. Like me, I struggled in algebra. 1 and 2 is horrible. Yeah, and then when I got into like what you do for a living for about 5 years, it's amazing how good I became at math. I never thought I was. Yeah, it's something when you're actually determined to do well in something and you apply yourself. So that's why, and I mentioned that because I'm thinking, well, that's why there needs to be a lot of this. Flexibility. That's the word. That is the word. There needs to be a lot of flexibility on how you can use this money for education, because education be a number of different things. So that's why I was asking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the Roth IRA, you got one. You could use it for the kid's college, and then you can be the bank, and you could say, "Okay, kid, you got to pay me back. There's your loan. Pay me back every month."
Yeah, absolutely.
Good
absolutely.
luck.
I mean, that's the beauty of it. I mean, and the real beauty of it is you don't have to use it for college. If the kid goes off the deep end or decides he wants to go find himself for 5 years, hey, that money's not his money. It's your money. So
very good. Sunday morning at 7:00 on 11:50 a.m. Also, 1017 FM and streaming at WDEL.com. What is on the money Sunday at 7?
This week we're going to talk about IRAs versus 401ks. What are the advantages of leaving your money in the plan versus rolling it to an IRA? We're going to talk about the pros and the cons of what you do with your money at retirement.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to get ahead of you on that a little bit, too. So you folks, you've studied a lot of different common 401k plans, whether it's TIAA, CREF, and Fidelity, things like that. So you have some good knowledge of which of these plans seem to be performing better than others, don't you?
Yes. We know who the players are, and obviously we've worked with each and every one of them. And most of the time, you have more investment options, you have better distribution options by doing the rollover out of the company plan, because the company plans are going to be limited. But there are certain circumstances where it may make sense to leave money in the plan.
And we'll be listening for that Sunday morning at 7 here on WDEL. Dan, thanks so much for your time.
All right, go Phils.
I know. It's rough right now. It's terrible. It's horrible.
Well, they were on a nice streak, and then they lost last night, so hopefully they can get back on a winning track. So.
Well, they were on a nice streak after they had a horrible streak. And then a nice
they've been very streaky. They win 9 in a row, they lose 9 in a row, they win 5 in a row. I mean, it's a real Jekyll and Hyde team.
It's like that old song, they're doing the streak. All right, thanks, Dan.
Yep.
Be well, buddy. Thanks.
Have a good day, Rick.
You
Thanks.
too.